Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another super cool radio interview. I'm your host, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have an incredible guest joining me at this time. On April 12th. The Mendenhall Experiment released the latest single entitled Say It. Please welcome the rhythm guitarist and creator of the Mendenhall Experiment. Please welcome Brandon Mendenhall.
Yo, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. I'm happy to be here.
Of course. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know we got quite a bit to discuss, obviously, with the new single. You guys toured with Scream at the Sky earlier this year as well. We got quite a bit to discuss, and I'm very happy to have you on the podcast.
Heck yeah.
So before we really dive into the new single, the previous tour, and all that, so I'm curious for you, what music have you been listening to lately, Brandon?
Oh man, the stuff in my playlist now is anything Spirit Box, the Eternal Blue album, the new record they just put out, Fear of something. It's purple on the cover. I think they're definitely my favorite band out right now. Listen to a lot of hip hop. I'm really into Nipsey Hussle. Of course, all your West Coast classic stuff, the Dre, the Snoop, the Pac, all that stuff. Really into blues, like Rolling Stones and early Chicago recordings, stuff like that. So mainly, if you look at my playlist right now, it's Spirit Box, Nipsey Hussle, Minus the Bear, and gotta have some Korn and Pantera in the mix. But
Oh, that's awesome. Wide variety of music, from obviously more harder rock and metal to hip hop and everything. So I'm curious for you, how important is it for musicians and people in general to kind of listen to many different varieties of music?
Oh man, I think it's key, and I definitely made a major shift within the past 5 years. I I stopped listening to most metal and all the new bands coming out and all that stuff that was being thrown at us and kind of inundated. And I shifted over to listening to like I said, hip hop artists I like, blues artists I like. I even like some off the cuff pop stuff Post Malone and some Cerebral stuff. I can really dig her stuff because it's really singer songwriting, real musicianship type stuff. And I think that's important because I'm not constantly bashing my head with metal songs or metal riffs or the same structures and the same outlook that we have as hard rock and metal musicians. So it's in my theory that I keep my palette pretty clean so that when I'm in creative mode and doing the Mendenhall Experiment stuff, my judgment isn't clouded by what the hot thing is. I'm just kind of, because I really don't listen to a lot of metal outside of going out to clubs and touring and stuff. We'll throw on classic albums and stuff, but I'm dude, I'll listen to West Coast hip hop all day, and my band hates it or whatever, but it's just how I balance my mind.
Oh no, for sure. And I just as a a listener of music and podcast host, I've been always very recently been trying to really expand my horizons for music, trying to listen to different things I normally wouldn't listen to, because to me there's so much awesome music that even if you don't necessarily like a genre, you might be able to like a certain artist or a certain set of songs from that genre.
Oh, absolutely, man. Music is just the same 12 notes, played differently, right? So if you're really into music like I am, I can find appreciation in any style. If it's real and it's genuine, I'm probably gonna dig it.
But definitely for sure. And I think it's just so cool, like, to just experience so much different music. And again, as for me personally, as a listener of music, I think it's very important. Because music. I think you kind of touched on it as well. Because music is just awesome and should be experienced.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like, dude, if you can't listen to metal 24/7 without it just becoming this stale, boring experience. And I love it that much, but I want to still be excited about it. So I diversify my palette as much as I can.
Oh no, for sure, for sure. But now that does lead me to, as I mentioned, the previous, the last tour you guys went on with Scream at the Sky. So, like, how was that tour?
The tour was really, really awesome. I think definitely one of my favorite tours that we've done, just because those guys were so much fun. They were just cool to be on the road with. Every night we showed up, and it was just everybody was cracking jokes. Everybody was in a good mood, and everyone wanted to put on the best show possible. You know, and I think that resonated for the entire tour experience. So, I definitely got with those guys again because they were just fun to be around.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've had the opportunity to meet and see Scream at the Sky. It was the end of last year. I saw them, and just like what you said, awesome dudes. I had a fantastic time, like rocking out and hanging out with them. Really genuine dudes, and they kick ass on stage.
I connect with Brian a lot because Brian's a lot like me. He wears like he wears many hats within Scream at the Sky, just like I wear many hats in the Mendenhall Experiment, and like you know, I admire and respect another musician's hustle, and like if you're out there trying to get it and you're putting the work in and you're grinding it out, like I'm gonna respect you because I know how much time and effort I put into what we do.
No, for sure, and that it's a very important thing. Like people see, like on the stage, like you guys rocking out, but behind the stage, as you talked about, there's so many for some people in the band, like yourself and like Brian. You guys have to do many different things. You're like booking the shows, you're buying the merch, you're setting up things. You have so much to do, like behind the scenes as well.
It never stops, dude. It never stops. People think, oh, being on the road is just this giant, like, fun party experience. And maybe for some that don't carry as much responsibility, maybe it is that. But for guys like me and Brian, it's not that way. Like, we wake up in the morning and have to knock the cobwebs out of our head for the night before, and then, instantly get on, like, what are we gonna do for social media for the day? What are the details for the day? Do we have the advance from the club? Like where do we park? What time do we have to be there? Like are we getting food? Like what's the payout looking like? It's like we're always chasing these shiny red balls, so to speak, and it never stops. And then you do the show, you hang out with the fans, and you pack up, and it's the on to the next day that repeats itself.
Oh no, for sure. There, as I said, there's so much going on behind the, and like stuff like with that, with communicating with the venue, making sure those things are in order as well before you even show up. And obviously, some of these shows are booked way out far in advance as well. So, like for you, like what is like your advice to like up and coming musicians?
Just dude, anybody that wants to get into this business right now in 2024, you really have to examine like your love for music, and if you really don't love it for loving it, and your motive is to be famous or like make money, mainly make money. If you're motivated to make money in music, like good on you, but you should probably look at like a different career path because if there's one thing I can tell anybody is there's no money in this business. At a level that we're at, like we break even at best. Some nights are better than others, but like, you know, you're not getting paid buku bucks until you emerge into that 1 to 2 percentile, and it's really hard to get there.
Oh no, for sure. I know I've talked to other musicians about this as well. That you don't really do it for the money. You do it for the love of music, for the awesome experiences, and the people you meet along the way. And yeah, there's not much money, unless, as you said, unless you're really up there, the upper percentile. But there's not too much money in this. So I'm curious though, like for you, like what have been like some of your like most favorite moments from the Mendenhall experiment?
Just those moments that we have, and kind of what makes it worth it for us to keep going, keep getting out there and keep touring and keep doing this, putting out records and like all that, because we established that there is no money in this business. So like it's the experiences of like connecting with the fans and having the fans tell us like how much our music and our brand and what we're doing with the Mendenhall Experiment and raising disability awareness and helping people worldwide with my message, my story, and our music, obviously. Like, um, that's what keeps us going, is that kind of renewed interest from the fans. I think if that were ever to go away, maybe I would kind of pack it up and go, maybe it's time to look at a different career path, or just kick back and put my feet up and enjoy the 20-year run that I had, doing the thing that I love.
Oh no, I got you for sure. And it's just that human connection with people, being able to like meet people, and, and again spread the awareness and everything like that. I think is incredible because you see like the numbers, like like streams and stuff like that, but actually to see the faces and the people actually like enjoying your music in real time is incredible to see.
That's the most important part to me, and that's what makes all the late nights and early mornings and empty bank accounts and struggle through this, struggle through that kind of um, work pattern that we go through. It makes it all worth it when somebody comes up to you and tells you how much you've inspired them and how much they think that it's important that we continue to do this, and you see that one-on-one engagement, that you're actually making a difference in people's lives. Like, you can't put a price on that.
Oh, exactly. I 100% agree with that. But now that does kind of lead into I got to talk about the latest single released on April 12th. That is "Say It." So, for anyone who has not checked out this single, like, what can they expect musically and lyrically?
um Say It to me is our heaviest song in our catalog that we've released to date. um it's kind of slow and drudgy. It has a mix of influences in there. Obviously, it's got some new metal, some punk rock, some straight up metal, like and some thought provoking, engaging lyrics, which is kind of what we do, right? So I mean, it's a Mendenhall Experiment track, true and true. But if you're looking for something a little bit heavier from us, that's definitely it.
Oh yeah, I agree. It definitely a heavier track, but I do like, as you said, you kind of blend some different genres throughout the single as well. That's what I really enjoy about it as well. As it's very diverse. But yeah, definitely a very heavy track. I very much enjoyed it. I've been listening to it in preparation for this interview. I really dig it. So like for you guys, like how was it writing and recording "Say It"?
Yeah, one of the most unique things about that song that I haven't really expressed yet to anyone. So, um, when I was writing that tune and putting that together, I wrote most of it with one of my main writing partners before I brought it into the band. And there's trying to think where it lands. So it would be, I have the intro list riff, which became a verse riff, and then I remember working out what became the chorus riff at my house. And it was very much like I worked it out at my house for a couple of days. Then I brought it to the studio and I was working on it with my writing partner dude. And it was very much like early Nirvana kind of inspired the way that I was like playing the chords and the energy behind it. I was hearing Nirvana in my head, and then I was able to string it together and put it in the song, and what it became is completely different from what I heard in my head. It actually sounds, to me now, I feel like the song sounds more like Korn inspired than Nirvana. But when it started in my mind, I was like, oh, but this sounds like something that Kurt would play. So I kept jamming it, and I was like, this part's cool. I want to use it. So we were able to fit it into the song, and then it kind of morphed into something completely different. And then once I brought it in to the band, it all came together in an evening. I had those couple of riffs, like I had the A riff, I had the B riff, and then I was like, this is what I got, and I had rough drums to it. And then Justin got behind the drum kit and started playing, and then I started playing the riffs, and Mike came in and started adding what he does, coming up with different parts, different octaves, and then like we gave it to Elise, and within an evening she had the lyrics for it. So it's kind of a rare occurrence for us to all get together as a band and hammer out a track like that, but it was cool. It was cool and definitely organic.
Well, that's awesome to hear you guys like just it came together, quickly, but also very organically that you guys, kind of just like worked and collaborated to create a really awesome song. So I'm like curious for you from like when you first like started working on the song to now it's finished, the finished song, what was like some of the biggest changes you made?
But just like I said, I think the overall tone of the song changed. Like it started out as something and morphed into something completely different. But some like a lot of that is like that. That's good though. When you have an idea and it morphs into something else, and you just kind of let it be what it wants to be organically, and not try to like you know fool with it or like jam a round peg into a square hole, kind of so to speak. You just kind of let the song kind of lead you where it wants to go, and what came out, we're so pleased with it.
Oh no, for sure. It, as I said, it sounds amazing. Like I will leave some links for say it in the description of the podcast. Everyone watching or listening, please check it out. Give it a listen, because I really enjoy it. So like for you, I'm curious. Like for your writing process, do you like start like sometimes start with like an idea and some go maybe that doesn't work, and then you start like switching gears like to something that might that you might like grasp and hold on to. So like for you, like where do you like start with like writing or recording a song?
Uh, well, let me see if I can break what you just asked me.
Sorry, that was a big question. My bad. Yes.
Yeah. Let me see if I can answer it into two parts.
Sure.
The first part being is like absolutely. Like I will start out with something, and if it's just not gelling and it's not clicking and it's not giving me that feeling of like, yeah, this is it, and like if I feel like I'm having to fight it too much, then I'm like, yeah, let's change it. And then if I go into like changing it, I can't figure it out, and it's just not coming to me in a, you know, like in a reasonable time frame, then I'll be like, nah, let's just table it for a minute. I'll come back to it. Sometimes I'll come back to it like that week. Other times it'll sit on a shelf for like a couple of months or even longer, and then I'll pull it up down the line and go, I was working on this and I hit a wall with it. Like, let's see what we can do with it now. Usually, a lot of that stuff will find a way of working itself out. Like, I usually don't trash much of anything. If I put something down to tape, I usually find a way to use it. There's been a few things where I've just completely scrapped, and unfortunately, that's happened to me a lot recently. Trying to come up with new material where I'm like, nah, I'm just not really feeling it, and just delete. But the other part of your question is like my writing process, like how I usually start things. So a lot of that will come like one of two ways. I've been trying to handle it differently now. Like usually how it would go was I would sit down with drum tracks and kind of put down like a structured song. I would write like 2.5 to 3 minutes of like a song on like drum loops. I would chop it all up in Pro Tools and I would get it all down. I would know the tempo and have a click and all of that. And then I would grab my guitar and just start playing to it, just jamming, ripping over the top of it, you know. Stop, record, delete, just running the loop until I got the feeling for it. And then once I feel out the riffs that like speak to me, I'm like, okay, let's put these down. And that's usually how it went. Now I'm trying to expand the way that I write, and like I've just been picking up my guitar and my iPhone and just I'll riff out stuff and try to come up with like cool riffs just by like freeform jamming, and then I'll grab my phone and I'll record like on my phone just to get the idea down. And then I'll go back and eventually open Pro Tools and try to make it all fit into something. Um, it's been different, and I think that's why I've trashed a lot of stuff recently. Is like, are you familiar with Metallica calling something stock? You ever heard
Yeah.
that term?
Yes.
So like, I find myself saying that about like the stuff that I've been writing. Well, yeah, that's kind of stock. Like it's just kind of typical and boring and delete.
So I'm curious, like when you run into situations like that where you record something, this kind of stock, not what I'm going for. Like, how do you kind of get the creative juices like flowing? Like, what do you do in that situation?
But like I said, sometimes you just gotta step away from it. Danny Miller from Nine Inch Nails taught me a cool technique. When he gets stuck like that, he'll hop in the shower and like take a hot shower and just kind of let like his mind kind of detach. So sometimes I'll do that. I'll just hop in the shower and just like think on it for a minute, and then I'll come back to it.
Does that work? That sometimes work for you?
Sometimes, like I said, sometimes like you just gotta let it sit and simmer for like a day or two, and then come back to it. It's very like I've always kind of been one of those very vibey artists where it's like I'll catch the flame for a minute and it'll be hot, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta get this out. I gotta get it out because I know that once the flame goes out, that's it. Like the moment is past. I've always been that kind of like artist where if I don't catch it while it's coming to me, forget it. It's gone.
Oh no, for sure. When you got the creativity flowing, you gotta get those ideas out, or like as you said, it's gonna be gone. So Has there ever been time where like creativity is like struck and like either you're at work or like you're not at your with your guitar tools? Like, has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I've like there's been a couple of times where I've lost like some really cool riffs just because I'm like, oh yeah, I'll remember it later, and you're never gonna remember it later. Don't lie to yourself. Like, so I've just been kind of, but the same thing with like notation of stuff. Like, if I don't record it and then kind of pull out like my notes pad and like put the fret markers down to go along with it, like I have a hard time remembering what I was playing or how I was playing it, so I have to like do both.
Oh my god, yeah, you have to make sure obviously you get the riff, but also your fret marks and stuff also very important when it comes to that, and you gotta do both or you keep the idea going. It's really cool to kind of get your kind of creative process and just kind of your kind of just your mind behind the creativity and stuff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. Like, I don't know if you read the article about like when Metallica was doing. Oh God, it was 10 years ago now. But like Metallica was doing the Hardwire record, and like Kirk lost his phone. Kirk lost his phone, and that was the way that he was recording all of like his ideas to take in for the new record. And he lost his phone, and he lost their entire catalog, like 4 years worth of like ideas just gone. So we had like no way of like he had all this cool stuff, but he said I really didn't contribute much to the album because I lost my iPhone.
Wow, I did not know. So he never got his phone back. Like it's just gone.
No, like it was gone. He had to replace it, but when you replace it, a lot of those, unless you're like voice memos or like backed it to the iCloud, it's gone.
Wow. Dude, can you imagine if someone found that phone, like, just now, like, that would be,
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
it would be
you
cool to,
imagine if somebody found that phone and figured out how to get into it and like was a metal musician, like total hypothesis story, but like you have a whole record on your hands, probably a really good one.
yeah, that'd be crazy. But no, I didn't know the backstory behind that. That's why, well, it's also, I mean, that's why backing up things very important with everything.
Yeah, and like moving, I think the reason why I brought that up is like just to like recognize like being in a band in 2024 and kind of moving with technology as technology evolves and writing processes like get faster and they evolve. It's like you gotta kind of move with the technology. Like I remember way back when having to like pull out like tape recorders and like that was our only way of like taking down ideas before like the home Pro Tools rig came along, and in the very beginning they were very primitive, so it was like a lot of taking riffs from tape recorders and putting them in Pro Tools, that kind of thing. But now with the invention of smartphones, like it's all right there on our phone.
Oh yeah, and technology has advanced, so much, and everything's like digital now. There's no, tapes, even though some musicians still prefer to use tape. Do you like where do you see like with the writing and recording process, like where do you see like technology like evolving more?
I think well, really, it's kind of already gotten there. You can pretty much make a quality record like in your bedroom now. Like, so technology is advanced to that point, but now with the advent of like AI and stuff, it's really scary how much like the music world is going to become that much more diminished. Where I saw an interview with somebody the other day. He was saying that like all of the spec work for film and television that would normally go to like musicians is going to be overtook by like AI, and AI, you're just going to be able to get a piece of music that you need for film or TV by AI. So that's going to even cut that much more out of the market share for musicians. So it's going to be really interesting how the world shifts. I mean, the world was really shifted from when I was young. Like people don't value music as much as I did when I was a kid. The kind of rock star worship iconism that was very much part of my life and the artists that I was influenced by growing up is that the young generation doesn't value music in that same way. We've just kind of been diminished to like background music.
Yeah, and I think people, at least some people, and possibly the younger generations, kind of see music as more disposable. I think that again, it's like that background music, and it's also like they kind of just listen to like certain songs. They don't actually like try to listen to more. Like when I listen to an artist, I try to listen to a lot of their catalog and see like kind of the early stuff and their newer stuff and see kind of how their sound evolved. But I think some people just kind of pick like, oh, I like that song, and then like I like similar songs that sound like that song, kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's no like exploration of like, let me get into this artist, let me find out what they're about, what makes them tick, let me listen to their back catalog, and like really just get into music as an art form. It's kind of been dismissed, and that's it's kind of sad. I know that really doesn't answer your question, but I would hope that we see kind of a full circle moment of where it comes around back to that, because you can't really diminish it much more than it's already been diminished. And technology can't really get that much better than it is already. I mean, we've put it. I feel that we've kind of hit the glass ceiling as far as like digital recording and everything that's out there. It's like how you get more real than the tools that we have right now. They're pretty amazing. When you can take 900 high quality amp tones and put them in a box like the Kemper, uh, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, and for sure, for sure. Now I do got one more thing, and then I will be closing this interview out soon. But I do want to finish this conversation, this topic we're covering. So, like, what can people do to like increase the value of music nowadays?
Make it more of an experience. I think people will value music more if they make it more of an experience. Get back to the days of going out and buying an album. So if that means you have to go out and buy a vinyl record so that you have a physical album, and get your friends together and have a couple drinks and sit around, put your phones away and put the record on and listen to the record, have a couple of drinks, and then after the record's done, like have a discussion about the record and about the artist. Make it an experience. Pass the album jacket around. Like look at it, examine it, understand that there's a whole team of people that go into making albums like this, and see the similarities of, oh, this artist is using the same producer for this, and then you make the correlations of why things sound the way that they do. It's like, I think if kids today get it back to being more social and making it more of like a social hangout experience, it will bring value back to music slowly.
I really like that. And, growing up, I kind of, did something a little bit similar. Like me and my brother, we had CDs because, this is the early 2000s, but we had CDs and we would get CDs and we would listen to them and we would just enjoy the music. And, it was an experience. So I agree with that. And I do hope, that does come back because it's awesome to just hang out, listen to music with your friends.
I mean, I think the fire with music to the world is still there. I think that's evident with like the skyrocketing of ticket prices around the world for any given artist. Like people want to see these artists perform, but you have to we as a world have to find a way to start putting value behind the actual art that they're creating again, because if not, there's going to be a ton of good artists that just fold and just say, I did it. Like myself, for example, I could tap out right now and go, I'm done. Like I had 20 years in the game. I put out 3 albums, and like I worked with my heroes, and I created this whole movement, and now like people aren't as receptive of it as they used to be. So I'm gonna go kick my feet up and sip Mai Tais on a beach somewhere and really enjoy like the fruits of my labor. And I think a lot of artists are gonna be like that if we can't find a way to put value back into music as being an art form. But that starts with the people, right?
100%, and it does. It starts. It's going to start slowly. Got to be a few people here, a few people there, and then it's got to keep moving. But it has to that has to start with people, as you said, and very very well said. And I 100% agree.
Cool, man.
But now, as we're closing this interview out, so what are the plans for the Mendenhall Experiment for the rest of 2024?
Tour, and tour. We've got 10 dates coming up in July. We're eyeing at another 10 to 12 in September, and then October to November we're looking at 12 to 14 dates, and then we're gonna shut down after that tour and just focus on the next record and the next set of recordings, and we'll have something musically for 2025. I've got something in the tank that's going to be coming out then. So you'll at least get one single from us in 25, but we're gonna focus on some new recordings after we wrap up these tours at the end of the year. And but I'm excited to get out and play for the people. Like we get a direct support show coming up in Arkansas with POD at a water park out there on July 13th. So I'm excited to go out and play that. And we've got, dates strung around that. Then we're doing the Break the Silence Festival in Fort Morgan, Colorado, outside of Denver in September, with dates around that as well. So yeah, man, just getting it out, bringing it to the people, playing live.
Sounds awesome. Sounds like you got some killer shows lined up as well. And as we're wrapping this up now, so where are the best places to find the Mendenhall Experiment online?
The MendenhallExperiment.com is going to be your hub for everything. The Mendenhall Experiment, you can find links to our merch, links to what we have going on. There's a link to the documentary Mind Over Matter. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a full-length documentary film on YouTube and Crackle right now. It chronicles my whole story through forming the Mendenhall Experiment and then elevating it to a national level of success.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've had the opportunity to watch the documentary. Very well done, very informative. Got a lot, great chronological order of everything as well. So I'll leave that link as well as links for the Mendenhall Experiment in the description of this podcast. Brandon, thank you so much for stopping by Super Cool Radio. I had a fantastic time chatting with you.
You got it, brother. Thank you for having interest. Thank you for having me on, and keep doing what you're doing. I think it's pretty kick-ass.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. For Brandon Mendenhall of the Mendenhall Experiment, I'm your host always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.
Heck yeah.